this minute percentage have so much power in terms of lobby and money to basically, I'm going to go as far as saying, ruling the country.
Nobody has a First Amendment quite like ours. I'm going to sound like Trump. Ours is the greatest First Amendment. It's bigger and better. So it's not just a question of constitutionality. It's a question of complete hypocrisy.
Welcome everyone to this Newsbud roundtable discussion. Joining us today is Mr. Paul Larudee, who received a PhD in Applied Linguistics from Georgetown University. He was a Fulbright Hays Lecturer in Lebanon, supervisor of a Ford Foundation training project in Lebanon, and a U.S. government advisor in Saudi Arabia. We also have Mr. Mark Kleiman joining us today, who is a lawyer who represents whistleblowers from his office in Venice, California. Cases he has prosecuted have resulted in the recovery of over $600 million to the taxpayers. And hosting today's roundtable is the founder and editor of Newsbud, Sibel Edmonds. Welcome everyone to the program. Sibel, where shall we begin?
Here's how it started, why I became so obsessed with this topic. About a year and a half ago, I was reading an article and I came across this new law passed by 6 or 7 states saying that certain states were going to they were banning boycotting Israel, okay? So they were basically illegalizing. Right now I know I'm talking with someone who's an attorney here as well, so I know that word maybe doesn't really exist, but I like to use it, illegalizing, boycotting Israel. So here is where things stand. A group of 43 senators, 29 Republicans and 14 Democrats want to implement a law that would make it a felony for Americans to support the international boycott against Israel. The 2 primary sponsors of the bill are Democrat Ben Cardin of Maryland and Republican Rob Portman of Ohio. Perhaps the most shocking aspect is the punishment. Anyone guilty of violating its prohibition will face a minimum civil penalty of $250,000 and a maximum criminal penalty of $1 million and 20 years in prison. Now, am I correct to assume that this is one of the most belligerent attacks on the First Amendment rights, wherever you stand on the issue of Israel? Let's start with that. Mark, as an attorney, correct me, and I withstand any correction.
There's nothing to correct here at all. I mean, this is an astonishing attack. It's brazen. It clearly goes against very well-established constitutional law. The Supreme Court has already been there. It addressed this issue in the context of civil rights boycotts back in the 1950s and 60s and said boycotts are part of free speech and you get to vote with your money. One of the really perverse things about this is that if you accept for a minute, even just a minute, the idea behind the Citizen United doctrine that a corporation can have its own free speech and choose to spend its money as it wishes by buying politicians, to say that we cannot spend that same money where we want to and where we do not want to affect policy is an astonishing position.
You were watching a preview of an exclusive 1-hour-plus Newsbud Roundtable.
The moment I saw this, and I want to be corrected here if I'm wrong, I said, well, this is one of the biggest assaults on First Amendment.
Israel's objective is to shut down criticism, and that is what this is about. And the fact that they are going to these measures, these effectively, if I can call them unconstitutional measures, heavy-handed measures, aggressive measures, in order to shut down opinion, demonstrates that they're reaching the end of their ability to do this. No, the laws don't count. The point is to crush opinions that they see are working against them. They have said so in several places that this is warfare. It's warfare by another means.
let's say carry it even further. Would it be crazy to say with these types of things setting precedents, for example, soon mega corporations are going to use these laws. Let's say we get together and say, okay, Google has become the extension of the CIA and the big government, or Twitter, and let's boycott them, or Amazon, which, you know, he may end up becoming the next CIA director, the guy who owns it, the way things are going in our nation. They can just go ahead and pour money into these congressmen, the so-called representatives' campaign and their pockets, and pass these laws. I mean, would it be crazy to say that this would pave the way towards that kind of a Kafkaesque situation?
No, first, it wouldn't be crazy at all. But before we even get to that, there is a long and very dishonorable history in the United States of suppressing free speech. So there's no question about it that corporate control of free speech is going to be a problem.
The full 70-minute video is available for members at newsbud.com, or you can watch it now at Newsbud Vimeo on demand.
Of course, there's the incident in Texas where this suburb of Houston, amazingly, was insisted that before you could get flood relief, you had to sign a certification that you were not supporting a boycott, divestment, or sanctions against Israel.
Well, partly by money and organization and so forth, but they also have what they call the Sayanim network. The Sayanim network is one where they have Zionist volunteers in key positions where they can make a difference. And when they work together, then they can make a big difference, including spreading disinformation and pushing points of view and so forth. This is a lot of what goes into deciding not only what the public hears, but what the public thinks.
So to make our positions clear for our viewers, it is, I would be standing up and speaking up on the issue such as freedom of expression. A 5-year-old American kid or any kid who's going to school here in the United States can draw anything he or she wants, whether it's a Christmas tree or whether it's a set of candles there that they're drawing. I mean, would you agree with that statement, or would you say no? In some cases it's hate speech and it should be legalized, but in some cases it's not and it should go on?
Paul? Paul? Sounds to me like you're trying to declare war on hypocrisy.
Yes, I have. In fact, I've been leading that war for 15 years. That's why I'm not liked.